Shalom and welcome to the weekend edition of the Daily Dose of Hebrew. Looking today at verse 28 of chapter 4 in the book of Jeremiah. In verse 27, we saw that there was, in the midst of all this judgment that the Lord is sending against his people to chasten them, there was a little bit of hope. He will not destroy them totally. And yet he's summarizing in the verse that we're going to be looking at today, and we don't want to minimize the weight and the seriousness of this terrible judgment, this terrible chastening which is coming upon them. Let's go ahead and read the verse in Hebrew as we get started. Al zot te'eval ha'aretz ve'kadru hashamayim mima'al al ki dibarti zamoti velo nechamti velo ashuv mimena. Well, we start with al zot, literally on this one here, feminine. And this is a very common expression for saying, for this reason, because of this. Te'eval. Now, what do we have here? Well, we have a tau performative, nothing at the end, so we're going to have an imperfect. It could be a 2ms, but by the context here with the subject following over here, ha'aretz, the earth or the land, it's going to be a 3fs. This is a cow from the verb aval with these three consonants here, and aval means to mourn, to grieve. So the earth will mourn. Talking about the judgment that's coming. Vekadru. And now here we have a perfect with this formative u ending of it, and but it's going to be consecutive perfect because it's following this imperfect over here, and you have a vav here, so it's a perfect consecutive. With the u ending on it, it's going to be a third common plural, and this is a cow from the verb kadar with these three letters here, and kadar, which means to become dark. And it's going to be the heavens, hashemayim, which is dual, but it's a plural idea. So the heavens will become, because the converted perfect, will become dark from above. Literally, you have the preposition mean here with ma'al, which is all of this together forms an adverb meaning from above, or above us. Yes. Al-ki, literally on which. So this is another explanation. This combination of preposition and conjunction here means because, for, because. Why have the heavens become so dark and the earth is mourning? Because I have spoken. Dibarti. So here we have a perfect, and it's the Lord who's speaking. It's a perfect with this T ending on it, first common singular. This is a PL, very common for a verb debar. You see the hieroc and the doubling over here with the pathax. So I have spoken, zamoti. Now once again, we have the same thing. We have a perfect, first common singular. This time it's a cow from a geminate verb, zamam. So like this. That's why we have the hard dogish in the meme here. And zamam, which means to decide, to purpose. I have spoken and I have purposed or decided, and negation here, I will not do something. What is it you're not going to do? Once again, we have a perfect, first common singular. This time it's going to be a nifal from the verb naham, which doesn't exist really in the cow, so it's used in other conjugations or other stems, usually frequently in the nifal, sometimes in the PL as well. And in the nifal, this means to renounce or to regret. I will not renounce, I will not regret, I will not turn back, well, literally, we'll get that in a minute here, but I will not change. In other words, in the decision that he's made this decision, I have decided I will not renounce. Or literally, I have not renounced, because this is a perfect here, so we're still in the past. I spoke, I decided, I did not change, and I will not come back. So here we have a negation, but this time, once again, this is an imperfect this time, first common singular, and this is a cow from our good verb shuv, so frequent in Jeremiah, and I will not return from it. Here's our preposition mean with this time it's a suffix. It's going to be a third feminine singular, the feminine being used for the abstract idea probably about the Lord's decision or perhaps all of his determination to send this judgment. So he's spoken, and these things are pretty well fixed, and he will not return from it, or from her, from that judgment, that decision that he has made. So it's pretty well set in stone here in the Lord's mind, even if he is going to keep a remnant as he promised in verse 27. Let's go ahead and hide our work here, squeeze the text down, and look at a couple of different translations. First of all, in the ESV, for this, on account of this, the earth shall mourn and the heavens above be dark. They will become dark. For I have spoken, I have purposed, I have spoken, I have purposed, I have not relented. That's a good translation for Neham, you see here. I have not relented, nor will I turn back. He could have added from it. The translators could have put that, from it, from my decision. But that's a very good translation of what we have here. The New Living, which is much more of a paraphrase, the earth will mourn and the heavens will be draped in black. On account of this, they didn't put that in there, but that's obviously the reason for this. Because of here. Now, my decree against my people, that seems to be picking up both of these ideas here. I've spoken and I have purposed, or I've decided. So my decree against my people, that's not directly in the text, but it's obviously in the context. I have made up my mind. It's hard to say if that's coming from this verb or probably a little more over here. In other words, I will not change my mind. So maybe that's where they're getting, I have made up my mind because I will not relent from what I have decided. And then over here, I will not change it. I will not come back from it. So a little more of a paraphrase, but you get the same idea in both cases. The Lord has determined that this is what is needed for his people, as hard as it is. And yet in the midst of all this judgment that's coming, he's also remembering his mercy to preserve, not because of the people's merits, but because of his grace that he's demonstrating to them. His plan for salvation will go forth, and he will keep a remnant of his people. We're getting toward the end of the chapter, so check back with us soon as we continue working through chapter 4 in the weekend edition of the Daily Dose of Hebrew. Shalom.